welcome to Somewhere in Waldo County. So I am with Erica Rubin Irish, star of Once Upon a Time, our children's show. But you may not know that besides being the children's librarian, she's also a head honcho of one of our premier theater organizations, the Belfast Maskers. And Erica, thank you so much for talking with me. I know that you're about to go into rehearsal.
Thank you, Ned. I'm really glad to have a chance to talk to you.
So you're in rehearsal for Annie, right?
That's right, yes.
Now, tell me a little bit about when Annie is being performed and where.
Sure. The performances are the last weekend in July and the first weekend in August, Thursday through Sunday, with the Sunday show being a matinee. And we're going to perform at the Farmers Market, the United Farmers Market, which is where we performed the Addams Family last year, inside the big empty warehouse space above where the market is.
Oh, okay. So it's different from where you had the dinner theater, which, by the way, I thought that was a terrific dinner theater. The idea of having one-act plays with Maine authors and all short enough so that if one of them didn't work for me, there was always something else to look forward to. Tell me a little bit about, how many things the Maskers do in the course of a year. We'll get talking more about the Annie because I want to hear more about that, but I'd like to get a more general idea about what the Maskers are.
Sure. So we normally perform 4 shows a year, drama or a comedy or the one acts or dinner theater, something like that in the spring. In the summer, a big musical. In the fall, again, a drama or a comedy, a fully staged play. And then in the winter, for the past couple of years and for this year as well, we're doing a live radio show. So it's performed as a radio show, but it is a live performance with costumes and live sound effects.
So, what's new this year that wasn't in existence last year is that we actually have a Belfast radio station. Is the Belfast radio station gonna, and by the way, I don't do a lot of pre-production work. I just kind of go with it, so I don't know if the answer is yes or no. Are you doing this, quote, radio show with Belfast Community Radio at all?
I hope so. They've been really supportive and they helped us out last year. Mm-hmm. WERU as well, both radio stations have been great, and it would be so nice to be able to have it live on the radio this year.
Sure.
We've got some time to organize that.
Well, what was really great for me, one of the things, like Annie, for instance, it would be fun to record it and televise it and show it on Belfast Community TV, but unfortunately there are all sorts of rights fees that have to be paid and things that make it more complicated, which was why it was so great for me to film the dinner theater, because it was all by original Maine authors and we were able to put it on TV. But there are, when you put on a show like that, there are some serious expenses you deal with, right?
That's true, yes. The royalties for the show, the costumes, the sets, all of the rentals for all the space that we need for rehearsal, the space that we need for performance. And as you say, the royalties can be high, but we feel like it's worth it because we want to put on a show that's spectacular and that a lot of people will want to come to.
Right. I mean, any of those, Guys and Dolls or these big name musicals are a sure draw for people, I imagine, right?
I hope so.
I hope so too. So the way it works is that to be in the Maskers, and by the way, as we're talking here, I'm hoping I'm showing some footage of a recent sort of, it wasn't a whole, it was in Bayside, and you were kind of giving the libretto to the musical and then doing specific songs from Annie. But it did give me a chance to see so many wonderful performers acting. We didn't include this, but the person who gave the introductory presentation said, be enthusiastic because some of these actors have never been before an audience before. And I think about what's such an important thing about community theater is giving people an opportunity to sort of see whether theater is something they'd like to do.
Right. We always are open to that. Anyone who comes to audition, there's a place for them in the show. This show has a cast of about 40 people, and it's really exciting that some of them, kids and adults, have never been on stage before. So they all seem to be really enjoying it.
Yeah, it would have been hard for me to tell who were the neophytes and who weren't in the production. Obviously, there were people like Eric Sanders, who is Daddy Warbucks, right? I noticed he shaved his head recently, and just in anticipation of this.
Getting into the role.
So for those of you who don't know Eric, I'm hopefully showing him right now as we're talking. But he actually has some Broadway experience, right?
Right. So there's the full range with the Maskers, from the professional actors to the very beginners, and we love that. We love that.
So tell me a little bit about the Maskers organization, because it seems, well, first of all, I got to say, I get confused. When I first moved to Belfast, it was the Maskers or nothing. And now, let me think, there's, well, not quite locally, but still, there's the Marsh River Theater that seems to advertise around here. There's the Cold Comfort Theater. There's the Maine, the Actors Studio? What is that called? I forget. And so, Midcoast Actors Studio. And Mary Weaver's group. So in one small town, there's like 5 different theater group opportunities.
Yeah, I guess it's just a place for everyone. But we just try to do what the Maskers have been doing for 30 years. This is the 30th anniversary of the Maskers this year.
Yes, you're definitely I don't want to make it sound the oldest group around. Well, there's a lot of young people, but you've been around the longest. The other ones are sort of upstarts. But the other ones are also doing wonderful things, and it seems like each of you have, different niches. Do you feel that you are competing with one another, or do you feel that you're all kind of, supporting with one another?
Well, I think we support one another, and we complement each other with the different types of shows that we do. And we try to arrange our schedules so that we're not overlapping as well, which I think is important.
Right. That's the one thing I think about, like summers in Maine. It's almost impossible to say, well, we're going to do the play this weekend, and by the way, there's nothing else happening in Belfast. I mean, there's a lot going on in Belfast, isn't there?
There always is, yes. Yeah, which is what makes it such a great place to be, but also makes it hard when you're planning things to try to find a time when everyone who wants to be able to come will come. So we're hoping that by doing 8 performances for Annie, that there will be a chance for everyone who wants to see it to come.
Now, what's new from my perspective is that, like in the past, you were a little weather dependent, right?
Yes, yeah. Last year was kind of the final straw with that, because we had to postpone our show because some other things were going on. And then in the end, we had several days in a row scheduled, and we looked at the weather, and after the first night, there were thunderstorms in the forecast. So Paul Nairn, who owns the farmer's market, was kind enough to let us move everything in. And in one day, we moved it all in. He hadn't set up all the stalls for the marketplace yet. So we moved it all in there and set it all up. And it rained for days, and we were able to put on the show. So we sort of decided that this year, as lovely as it is to perform outside, it's much nicer to know for sure that we'll be able to do the performances.
Rain or shine.
Rain or shine.
Well, I got to say that, the farmer's market is there on Saturdays, but there have been so many neat things that have taken place there. I thought that the venue for the dinner theater was wonderful, and my impression is that it was very successful for the Maskers. I mean, didn't you have to extend your run even?
For the dinner theater, yeah, we added an extra show.
Yeah,
which was great, and the response was really enthusiastic. The dinner was fabulous by Anse Geese, and the shows, as you said, they each had a different flavor. They were short and fun, and I was thrilled with the reception it got.
So getting back to Annie, if people want to get tickets, can they just show up that evening, or do you prefer that they buy tickets? I imagine it's nice to know get an idea of how many people are coming, but how do they get tickets? And although this is public television and not public access, we try not to talk about money too much because we're non-commercial, but it's a non-commercial, so tell us how much it costs to go to see you guys.
Sure. So the tickets are $15 for adults and $10 for kids and for students. We traditionally have sold all the tickets at the door. Last year we started selling them through our website, and this year we will be doing that again. So it's www.belfastmaskers.com.
I'll hopefully have that on the screen right while we're talking so we can make that work. And I guess I don't have any other major questions to ask, but I wonder, do you have people get really stage fright before? I mean, a lot of these are new people. Did, like, when they performed in Bayside, was there much stage fright issues?
I think they did great.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I know that I've interviewed people, and I thought they did great at the interview. And then when we're done, they said, "Ned, I was so nervous." And I'm going, "Oh, I couldn't tell you were nervous. It's all in your head." But I personally have gotten so scared as a kid doing theater that I've been, you'd think because I'm in front of the camera here that, I would never get stage fright. But I used to get so scared. It's really, though, when you get over it, when you conquer your fear, it's so wonderful. And I think that's one of the things about community theater is there's the do I like theater, but there's also can I overcome my fear of being in front of people.
Yeah, and in this really supportive environment where everybody in the room is cheering you on and saying, you can do it. And, we all feel nervous at some point or another, and it's part of the whole experience.
That's right.
But for the kids, I think that, especially for the kids, performing in Bayside last week as a sort of preview and having a chance to get out there and perform before they do the full show, was great. And at the Crosby Center opening as well, they had a chance to perform.
Oh, okay.
So it just kind of got them to where they at least had that experience if they didn't have any other. But I thought they did great. I know that some of them said they were nervous, but from where I was sitting, they looked all right.
Another thing I would just like to say is you mentioned that you performed in the in the United Farmers Market space, and you also mentioned Crosby. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. We now have, several potential great venues for the Maskers to perform at, right?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, we're really pleased. It's great. It's great. And I'm excited to see how it develops, how these venues develop, and what's going to happen in the coming months and years. And we're just delighted to have these great spaces for our performances.
And when I think about some of the people there are actually people working out in Hollywood today that got their start in the Maskers. So it's great. I mean, not that that's what it's all about, but it's neat that if someone got that there are people who got their start and got the acting bug with the Maskers and went on to be professional actors. So it's really wonderful. Well, Erica Rubin Irish, I know you have to run into rehearsal. Thank you so much for taking the time to tell me about the Maskers and, as they say, break a leg.
Thank you, Ned. Thank you very much. We hope you'll all come out and celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Maskers with us and come and see us in Annie and in the shows coming up. We have On Golden Pond coming up in the fall as well. So that's the next one. So thank you for your time and for celebrating with us.
All right.